Tonight, Tampa Steve. Is he or isn't he? Only his hairdresser knows for sure, and we've got it on good account. She's not talking. Also, tonight, the 15-minute girl. Will she or won't she? And does it really take her only 15 minutes? We can't wait to find out. And finally, tonight, the waiters of the Columbia. Who were these men? And why were they so loyal to Caesar? We think Mario Chusma knew something, but he was sworn to secrecy by a guy named Happy Peter. All that and so much more as the Tampa Native Show starts right now. What was that awkward look?
Come here. Let me tell you something. I remember Tampa, the way she used to be, the places we would run to, the faces we would see. Yes, I remember Tampa, those precious memories, a city rising on the move, a simple yet progressive groove. I remember Tampa, and she remembers me. Yeah. She remembers me.
Welcome to the Tampa Native Show. Stay tuned now for the fastest 60 minutes in cable broadcast history. Live from the studios at TBCN, the home of the Tampa Native Show. Join your hosts, Mario Nunez, the 15-minute girl, and Steve Canella, as they celebrate growing up in Tampa. From Shock Armstrong to Shakey's Pizza, from Braddock Street to Buffalo Avenue. Get ready to call in and tell us your stories, because sharing your memories has never been this much fun. And now, Mario Nunez, the 15-minute girl, and Steve Canella.
She remembers me.
Hi everybody, welcome back to this, the Tampa Native Show. My name is Mario Nunez, and of course, as always, it's Thursday, 7 o'clock, and I'm seated alongside my broadcast partners.
The 15-minute girl, she will, and it won't take 15 minutes.
Had a girl and Tampa Steve right there on the end.
Steve Canella, and I'm not talking either.
Steve's not talking. What a great opening to the show. Tonight's show, of course, is going to be dedicated to the Columbia restaurant, and specifically to those wonderful men who were the waiters of the Columbia, a lot of whom we knew personally, some of whom were our dads, our uncles, our neighbors, our dear friends. A lot of you were expecting to see Casey Gonsmart here in studio with us tonight. We got a call yesterday in the 11th hour, I guess you'd say, of the production schedule, and he was unable to make it here to be in studio with us tonight. He swore that he'd come back, and we're going to hold him to that promise. We do appreciate Casey's willingness to come on and be with us. And we just thought that tonight, especially because of the wonderful topic, the waiters of the Columbia, and because he was there, spent most of his formative years quite literally in that restaurant with his brother, and knew these men intimately. They were probably all his surrogate uncles and dads, that he would be able to lend a keen insight as to the topic. But that being the case, he couldn't be here with us, but we're going to carry on as we always do here on the Tampa Native Show. We've been doing our research this week. We're ready with some pretty fabulous pictures.
Amazing
photos. A lot of good pictures.
Wonderful photographs. And of course, we're going to be taking your phone calls tonight. You can see the phone here on the table. So ready to call in. Hello, Dory is at her post.
Welcome back, Dory.
Welcome back, Dory. We love you. Eric is at the controls. Eric Cups is at the controls. And if you want to show everybody that I'm not lying, Eric, go ahead and flash inside the booth there so that they can see.
Hey.
There they are, hard at work, and there's Dory right around the corner. So get ready to call in. We're going to take your calls in just a couple of minutes. The phone number, as always, is 813-977-6800. Call from anywhere in the nation. Right up at the... Go ahead, darling.
No, I just said super.
Right up at the top, thank you. Right up at the top, we want to say hello, as we always do, to our sponsors here at the Tampa Native Show.
Absolutely.
Without whom your love, your affection, your charity, your charitable donations, we couldn't produce this show. So we thank you. We thank you all for believing in us, for staying with us through all these wonderful 100-plus episodes, And it's a good time, I think, Steve, to be associated with the Tampa Native Show. And the reason is our fan base keeps growing. And each week we add more value to our sponsors.
Momentum now. You know?
I think it's safe to say that we've got wind at our backs.
We sure do.
And we're moving forward with a sense of purpose and urgency. Let's go ahead and mention our sponsors at the top of the show,
let's do
Steve,
that.
just to let everybody know who has decided to partner with us here at the Tampa Native Show. We want to say thank you to Caracolillo Coffee Mills, Castillo's Cafe and Catering, and PJ Testa Accounting.
The University of South Florida, the Italian Club of Tampa, and also Montaro Ristorante.
Magnon Jewelers, Tampa Yankees, and Chiefless Plantain Chips.
Joe & Sons Olive Oils, Brocados, and the Tampa Eye Clinic.
Also, Mike's Delivery Service, South Tampa Chiropractic Clinic, La Segunda Central, and King Corona Cigars, Cafe and Bar. Thank you all so much for, again, believing in what we're doing here at the Tampa Native Show.
Thank you.
And sharing your generosity with us. It always comes back to you 3 and 4 and tenfold in some cases. We appreciate that. We're also in talks currently. Talks are underway with El Centro Asturiano. And you know, we forgot the Italian Club. Did you mention the Italian Club?
I did.
Did you say that?
I sure did.
Okay, wonderful. I just
We're waiting
wanted
on
to
their logo still, though.
wanted to make sure that
That's
you
right.
said that. Talks are underway currently with El Centro Asturiano, with Peter Macaluso, Esquire, and also with the Pancake House. So if you're out there watching, guys, we're waiting to hear back from you real soon. As I said earlier, it's a great time to be associated with the Tampa Native Show. Now,
It's all timing.
in the distance, thank you, Stevie, in the distance and on the horizon, let me just say, there is going to be a little concert in the works. We're talking about it currently. It's a little benefit concert for the Tampa Native Show to help us meet our financial goals going into the 2014 broadcast season. And we've got our dear friend Rodney Justo and Cuckoo Kachu, who's going to be playing for us. Also Ray Villadonga, who has graciously agreed to come on and perform for us. So kind of pencil us in for the early part of November. We're going to be doing a benefit concert, and everybody's going to be invited. We want to see 200-300 people at that event. Also, rumor has it, Stevie, rumor has it that there may be, just may be, a New Year's Eve party in the works as well. So we've got a lot to look forward to in the distance, around the corner. I know it's only August. I know nobody's thinking about the holidays.
quick.
But yeah, don't turn your back on it now, because before you know it, it's going to be time to celebrate the holidays. So we've got 2 big parties coming up. We'd love to have you join us.
And the Tampa Natives is actually a very active group, you might say. In
I
fact, we have
think
a
so.
picture of that.
Yes,
We've
we
got
are,
pictures of
yeah.
that. We love to get together. We love to see each other, meet at different venues, and boy, we like to party.
We do.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. We just like to get together and have a
We
good
have a good
time.
time.
So thank you also to USF Special Collections and Andy Hughes,
Andy Hughes,
for his work and sending us those photographs each and every week, which we're going to get to those in just a couple of minutes.
Definitely.
So what about tonight's show, Stevie? Tonight we're going to be talking about those men that that served, I guess you could say, served the Gunsmart family so admirably for the better part of their adult lives. You know, because back during the say the 30s, 40s, 50s, you know, when you were a professional waiter, we've talked about this in the past, when you were a professional waiter, that was a job that you took quite seriously,
Right.
that you made enough money
Yeah.
that you could raise conceivably your family with, and a lot of these men that you're going to meet tonight did.
Yeah.
And
different
and
now.
you stuck with it for a lot of years. It wasn't a transient stop between jobs. It was a kind of job, and back then, of course, just like today, the Columbia Restaurant still has all the panache and all the style, and you
you
want to
know,
work there.
It was a profession. In fact, some of these pictures we'll show tonight, they took it very serious. Just
Yes.
by the dress
Yeah,
they wore,
yeah.
Yes.
the way they carried themselves. I mean, it was
Tuxedos.
truly a profession.
And you can still see
yeah.
to this day that they uphold that standard, because the waiters still wear their tuxedos
Yeah.
there
That's
even
right.
today.
That's right.
And you know,
It's nice to go to a place like that where you feel it's necessary to kind of dress up to fit the mood.
yep. And you get
Yeah.
cloth napkins
it's
at the
great.
table and tablecloths and.
Yeah.
Now,
well,
Mario, I mean, you had your father was a waiter for many years. Mike
Yes, he was.
Bluehouse' dad was a
Yes.
professional
Yeah.
waiter there, and then Joe Roman's dad, the singing waiter, Joe Roman
Senior.
for many years, I think 30 years or so. And in fact, they're watching tonight, Matilda and Joe Roman Jr. So, hey guys, thanks for watching.
Thanks for
But-
tuning in.
hi.
Yeah, but that's amazing. I feel connected. My family was not part of the waiter staff there, but I feel connected just in my friendship with Joe Roman Jr. We worked at the brewery many years ago together. Our paths crossed later on in the real estate field about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And then I just met him and his mom just recently, maybe about a month ago. And we talked about Joe Roman Sr., got a lot of the photos, which we're going to be showing tonight, from that meeting, went and scanned them and brought them back to him.
Cool.
But so stay tuned for that. You're going to love it.
Right.
We also should mention at the top of the show, because, you know, we did lose Joe Roman Sr. here not too long ago. And a lot of these men, and I feel fortunate that my papa's still hanging around and doing pretty good, you know,
Yes.
all things considered. His health is in pretty good shape. But some of these men that we're going to be talking about tonight have already left us. And we just had another one leave us this weekend. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention his name, because there's a chapter dedicated to this man. His name was Luis Diaz. There's a chapter dedicated to this man in the book, which we will be giving away tonight as part of our grand prize in our Bolita drawing. And Luis Diaz passed away this weekend. I knew the man personally because not only did I go to school with his sons, Michael and Louis, and he had a younger son also, Eric, but they lived on the street just behind me. So literally I could jump the fence and run 2 houses over, and our lives for the better part of our childhood were always intermingled, I guess you'd say. And my father worked alongside with Luis Diaz. This is the challenge of the Tampa Native Show. We're desperately out there in the community trying to connect with these folks that are the keepers of these wonderful stories. So allow us to say our great condolences to Michael Diaz and Eric, the 2 remaining members of the family, on the loss of your father, and again, on one of the family members of the Columbia restaurant.
Yeah.
So you see what we're up against. And my father called me this morning to tell me, I know you're doing a show on the way to the Columbia, and in the obituary this morning was Luis Diaz's obituary. So we got to hurry, guys. We got to hurry. We got to hurry because we've got no time to waste.
Clock, for sure.
Let's just give a quick update, Stevie. I know last week when we started the show,
Right.
sorry, baby. When we started, I know last week when we started the show, we talked about this little fella on the desk with us here.
That's right.
You know, this is Joe Nome,
Tampa Native.
Joe Nome, Tampa Native. And remember at the top of the show last week when we introduced you to Joe Nome, here he is. When we introduced you to Joe Nome, we said, please, before the end of the show, we want to get to 100 likes. Remember on his Facebook page? And you guys dutifully went there, and we started the show with like 65, 66 likes. We ended the show somewhere around 78. And I'm happy to announce that as of the start of this week's show, we're up to 159 likes. We've doubled our likes in just the week. Thank you guys for hearing us.
Because we owe that to you for those likes.
Thanks for listening. And the reason that we have here on the desk with us tonight Joe Nome, in addition to Zim Bear, is because if you've been following the exploits of our Tampa Bay Rays, now last night they got off to Schneid, and they won a game in dramatic fashion in the bottom of the 9th inning. They rallied to score 2 runs and a walk-off base hit with the bases loaded and won a game after a 6-game losing streak. So tonight we brought Zim Bear and Joe Nome with us because we have to exercise the fufugato that has been hanging over Tropicana Field.
Some good juju.
We need some good juju. So we've got them all here with us currently. All right.
You know, before we get rolling, too, we got about 4 emails real quick.
Oh, please,
Really?
please.
The numbers already, so
Read
our
the
loyal
emails.
fans are already.
And let's put some numbers
have
down,
it.
and you guys get ready to call. Stevie, give them that number again real quick. It's
That
right
number
up
is
there on the wall.
977-6800, 977-6800. We hope to see the phones light up pretty soon here.
Pretty soon.
I'm sure
Here we
we
go.
will. And by the way, this email is from Jim Carney.
Okay.
And by the way, the format of this email is perfect. In fact, all of them are this way. They're bullet formats. They're not long paragraphs, so it's a little easier
that's
for
what
us
you
to
need.
maintain and read and get them all in for the show. But he writes, my Bolita number for tonight show is 39.
39.
And Jim Carney asked, how do I pick up the coffee that I won last week? Well, Jim, give you a quick update on the coffee. It was delicious.
Yes, it was.
No, don't
Very
worry.
good.
Don't worry, we'll get it to you somehow.
We'll get together with
Actually,
them.
the word on the street is
Yeah, what's the word?
get over there to see Michael Faedo and his brother
you go.
Julian.
There you go.
Get over there to it's Caracolillo Coffee Mills, and it's over there on just off of Hesperides, or Hesperides as we like to call it, and it's just east of the airport. What used to be West Shore Boulevard back there. Well, Hesperides runs alongside, and it's just north of MLK Buffalo Avenue, just north of MLK. So get over there, knock on the door, walk right on in and say, hey, my name is Jim Carney and I won the Bolita drawing and I'm here to claim my winnings. They're waiting for you, Michael knows. So if you can get
that's
over there,
fun.
and
Yeah.
Dale, and maybe Dale too, because I know Dale has won recently as well.
He's got his number in here too.
Yep, maybe the two of you can get over there and get your winnings. And that's the way it is with all of our winnings. So if you win from Joe and Sons, make sure you get over there. Don't wait until the end of the season. Get over there right away. That's some wonderful stuff you want to pick up. We're giving away 4 tickets tonight as well to the Tampa Yankees game.
And we've got Skipper and Keitha. We know
I've
their
got
numbers
their
already.
numbers.
Yep, we got their
7-3.
numbers as well.
Dale
Excellent.
Campbell, we just mentioned him, 56.
56.
And
56.
Alyssa Governale is
Yes.
number 10.
Oh, wonderful.
Good show tonight. Always love the Columbia and the food there, she writes.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Wait till
And-
she sees the pictures.
Yep, and I tell you what, the Columbias, you know, talking about, I guess the food and the consistency with the food. You know, if you've eaten their yellow rice and chicken, or if you've eaten a Cuban sandwich from the Columbia, you've eaten some of their caldo gallego. It's as good today as it was 20 years ago,
Yes.
as it was 50
Yeah.
years ago.
Consistent.
Because that, I
Exactly.
think, is at the hallmark of what makes
have
that
to
restaurant
be,
so
yeah.
grand. Not just the ambiance, not just the fact that they have the floor show, not just the fact that, you know, the flamenco dancers are there. All of that lends itself. But a restaurant at its core is
the
essentially a
food.
restaurant.
Yeah.
And you go to a restaurant to eat food. So
Good food.
Good food, yeah. And when you keep coming back and your dining room is as full as it is always during the lunch hour there, that's a testament.
I was there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Good, wasn't
Oh,
it?
great, fantastic.
There you go.
Always is. You know, before we get these pictures rolling here,
Sure.
how about with the new feature, Picture of the Week, brought to you by the University of South Florida Special Collections.
That's right.
A photo chosen by Andy Hughes,
Mm-hmm.
librarian of the Special Collections. That would be picture number 1, Cesar Gonzmart. Eric, if you bring that up. Amazing photo here.
Well, you
In fact, take us out of that one.
Look
Yeah.
at
cool, yeah.
look at this man here, and we know full well.
Look at those shoulder pads.
Now he was a virtuoso at an early age, as a young man, teenager. Was classically trained to play the violin. Struck a pretty
Talented
dashing figure.
gentleman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tall, 6 foot plus, and quite handsome, as you can see there. And I think he lent some of that style and some of that panache to the Columbia restaurant. I think he brought a lot of that style with him. And
Yeah.
you know, we want to hear from some of our callers tonight, especially if you had experience there in the early years, and you were there perhaps in the 50s and 60s, and you remember some of the stars that you might have seen there. Not just the local celebrities.
Oh, a lot of celebrities.
Yeah.
But you didn't come to
National.
Tampa back in those days,
Yeah.
and of course the train
Still.
ran right behind, and still runs right behind the
Right.
restaurant. But you didn't come to Tampa in those days without frequenting that restaurant. So
No.
it was a
place to go.
It was a place to see and be seen, and it was one of the cornerstones, still is, of our historic district,
Oh,
it's-
which we talked about last week with Joe Howden.
Yes, we did.
And Don Barco. You know, Ybor City is rich in its history. So much for its restaurants, but for its cigar factories, its haberdasheries, you know, the clothiers, and of course the Columbia restaurant sits atop, I think you could say, that storied history.
We're so lucky to be Tampa natives.
We are, and I wouldn't have it any other way, my good man.
No.
Yeah.
You know what? There may be a time in the not too distant future where people want to consider themselves to be Tampa Bay natives.
I don't think so.
But at this point in time, I don't have my Schwimmflugels on. I don't have my snorkel.
Or your
I'm
mask.
a Tampa native. All right, let's go to caller on line 4 and
We've got
see
a
who's
caller.
waiting for us. Darling, take this one.
Hello, caller. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Robert Gonzalez from West Tampa.
Hi,
Robert Gonzalez, I'm going to turn your volume up so everybody can hear you.
Yes,
Robert,
hello.
Okay.
good to hear from you.
Good hearing from you guys.
There you go.
We got
how,
you now.
how are you, Robert?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Thanks for
Good.
calling in.
All right. The reason why I called was my wife and I have been to Columbia, and we saw Caesar back when he was still used to play the violin and stuff there. Mm-hmm. But remember when we were at Castillo's
Yep.
Cafe, I told you that my Uncle Raymond was married to a woman named Camelia, whose father used to own a cigar factory in Ybor City.
Right.
And he used to own the original property where the Columbia's at, was the original owner,
Oh,
sold it to the Gonzmart.
really?
Hey, I couldn't remember his name. His name was Manuel Chavez.
Oh,
Manuel Chavez. I'm writing that down right now.
Maybe you can tell Joe Howden that, because I talked to him and he goes, I don't know.
Yeah.
I could do some research, but it may not be too successful. But I found out his name a couple of days ago. His name was Manuel Chavez.
I'll make sure to
Very
share that
nice.
with Joe. Joe is always compiling the
Yeah.
history of Ybor City. And for a non-native, although he's been here for the better part of 35 years,
Yeah.
he knows his stuff.
He sure does.
I think we can all be grateful that Joe is as passionate about it as he is, because you know what? He's inspired a lot of us
Yes.
has.
to
yes.
start reading and start doing the research. Some of us came to know Ybor City organically because either we were born and raised there or we had our abuelos there and we frequented there. But there's something to be said for if somebody comes in from the outside and starts to learn about it from a different angle.
Yeah.
Like Andy Hughes.
Yeah.
Also.
Like
Right,
Andy
Andy,
Hughes
yeah,
and
no,
like Joe
right,
Houghton.
yeah.
Robert, thank you so much for calling. We appreciate it. Listen, we want to see you at our next event, you and Carrie both.
I hope to be there.
Oh, you
Okay,
will
great.
be there. Now give us your Bolita number
right.
before you go.
As usual, 36.
As
36.
usual, King Friday. That's number 36
Superstitious.
for Robert Gonzalez. Thank you, Robert, for your call.
All right, so I see.
And,
Thanks,
we
Robert.
appreciate you looking in on us. Thank you so much.
Bye, Robert.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Nice man.
Very
Yes,
nice,
he
Robert
is.
Gonzalez. Yeah, these
And his
pictures.
wife is sweet too,
That
Carrie.
Carrie
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. And this picture right here, which is a classic, is available on TampaPix.com. It's also part of our Facebook albums, photographs. This one here, I think, says it all. This was probably circa 1966. We have a photograph in a little bit that we can show you that we'll show side by side or one next to the other. Where we have actually the names of these waiters, and we've almost named each and every one of these waiters. In the center of that picture is Joe Roman Sr. Next to him, to his right, is Mike Baluja's father, and
On the
right
back?
in the center second row.
center row.
And just above them, if you can look at that triangle there, there's Joe Roman Sr. Next to him, to his right, is Mike Baluja, and above him is my father. My father,
The three amigos.
Felipe Nunez. And they're right in the center of that photograph.
yeah.
Makes it easy to kind of find them.
Right there
But
together.
there's so many notables in that photograph. So many of these guys, we went to school with their children. We grew up with their sons and their daughters. And again, these were the men that made the Columbia restaurant the experience that it was. And now, we say this and we look back with great fondness. But you know there are stories about these guys. And there are stories, because this was a group of men.
Almost like a brotherhood.
Absolute fraternity. And you know, fraternity,
Yeah.
what good's a fraternity if you can't pull a prank or two?
That's right.
If you can't pull a prank or two on your pals. And the ages range here from my father was probably in his late 20s or maybe just 30, 31. Well, let me see. He would have been 30, roughly about 36 or 37 in this picture here. And then you had some guys there that were well into their 60s.
Yeah, you can see that.
So, you know, you had older men in this picture too. So I'm just saying, if you've got any of those stories out
sure
there
there
now,
were many characters.
and you want to share some of those, or if you see your father in that picture, or you see
Definitely
your Theo
call in.
in that picture, call us. We want to hear from
Or if
you.
you recognize any names.
We want to
or
hear from
any,
you tonight.
Yeah.
What's the next picture, Stevie? Because I know we've got a bunch of
Well, we have a
pictures
lot
tonight,
here.
and we don't want to miss a one.
Well, let's go on to, let's go to see your dad, number 4.
You want to see my dad?
Yeah, let's-
All right.
let's take a
I
look.
saw my dad just the other day.
Hey,
In fact, I saw him
Graham.
just today. That's my pop. And I think this picture was taken, I want to say circa maybe 56?
He looks so cute.
Maybe
there.
56. My dad was really, really young here.
Yeah,
He's got
I
his
see
little,
that.
Little mustache
little
going?
mustache going
Yeah.
on there. I don't even think my father could grow a good mustache back then, but he was trying. You got to give him credit.
He looked cute.
And it looks to me like this could have been an evening
Yeah, the lady's
photograph
got on a
because
fur
she's
over
got
her
her
shoulder.
fur on, and they're definitely dressed
To the
up
nines.
to go out that evening.
There he
There
is.
This was a
is.
photograph that was taken here probably about 3 years ago, I want to say. About 3 years ago, we went to lunch. I took my pop to lunch, and of course, Joe Roman Sr. was there.
It was a great day.
He was working as an ambassador. At the time, he had already retired, and he worked for Richard and Casey. He was sort of like the official ambassador for the Columbia
Yeah,
restaurant.
greeter.
He was a greeter, and he made sure he came around, and he surprised my dad, and my dad surprised him, and they had a wonderful conversation. You know, they worked so many years side
Yes.
by side.
That's
Good
awesome.
day.
So that was a great, great, great day.
You still look cute in that picture, Grant.
Yeah, Pop looked
You're
really,
still
does.
cute.
he looked really, really good in that picture. So, Stevie, earliest remembrance, earliest experience you remember at the Columbia restaurant?
Well, I just remember many years ago going for the 1905 salad.
Okay.
The once a year deal with 1905
Oh,
prices.
That's coming up.
yes,
That's coming up.
You know, that's
We need to
coming up in
go.
Right.
September.
We need to go
Exactly.
It's coming
this
up. I
year.
want to
Yeah.
say, correct me if anybody's out there who has.
It's like the 20-something.
I thought it was the 12th, but it could be the 22nd.
I
It's in
saw the
September.
22nd,
It's in
yeah.
September, and I know that you got to get there super early, and
Yeah.
you got to stand in line
Stand
and be
around and
patient
wait,
because
but it's worth
they
it.
roll back. They roll back the prices to 1905 prices.
And you know me, I like going back in time anyway.
Oh, I know, and
you
that's
like
that's a
those
long way, my
prices
good
too,
man. That is a long, long way.
Especially
and
the prices.
And the prices don't hurt either.
That makes it more fun.
But
Yes.
the problem is we hope that the waiters don't get tipped on those prices because that would be
No.
hurtful. But they're long lines,
Yeah.
and it's a wonderful day, and they celebrate every year. It's a big give back to the Gunsmart
Yes.
family. So if you're available and you're around, and we think this year we're going to participate.
Yes,
We missed it
that's-
last
yeah.
year.
I've gotta do that
I think
again.
we should make it a Tampa Native Show outing.
That'd be fun.
That would
we
be
have,
great.
we have a
I think all
virtual
of us-
show later on.
I think all of us need
Yeah.
to be experiencing that 1905 salad. Now, look at this photograph here. This is a pretty interesting photograph as well. I love that jacket, and for some reason, I think my pop might have already moved on to his second career with Hillsborough County Schools. The gentleman that's on the bottom first row, far left is of course Joe Roman Sr. And far right on the bottom is Manuel Mendoza, who is my grandmother's brother or my father's uncle. Okay, so that's a family member as well. That's
On our right?
Far right. That's right. As you're looking at it. As you're looking at your
Yeah.
TV screen, far right bottom, that's Manuel Mendoza. I don't remember my pop ever having that jacket.
It looks like a Matador
Now,
jacket.
Dad, if
That's
you're
what
out
it looks
there,
like.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you're out there and they got the Matador cape in their hand, the
Cool.
napkin.
It
If you're out
speaks
there watching,
professionalism.
and you want to call in and you want to tell us if this was after you had left, it looks to me like this could be sometime in the middle 70s, or maybe even early 70s, and maybe my pop just wasn't working that day.
Yeah.
But how about these guys, man? How about the way they were dressed, huh?
I mean,
It's very snappy.
the picture screams professionalism, doesn't
No,
it?
yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
It does.
I mean, this looks to me.
I like the
And,
jacket.
and if you haven't had the experience that I was fortunate enough to have a little bit by traveling, this looks like this is European flair.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what the restaurants in South America, in Argentina, in Chile, in
Or
Spain,
even in Sicily when I
Look
went
on
in
the
Italy.
table. There's there are
Beautiful.
two dancers. There's the male dancers
Yep.
on the right and the female is back. on
Beautiful
the left.
Spanish dancers right
Very
there.
pretty.
So, you know, all of this, and we owe a great debt of gratitude to these men and now women that are serving.
Yeah.
But back then in that time,
sure do.
it was strictly
Men.
men only. It was a men's club, boys club.
Yeah.
Let's see who's on line 4.
We have a call.
Darling?
Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I am Matilda Roman.
Hi, Matilda.
Hi, Matilda
Hello,
Roman. How are
Matilda.
you?
Oh, okay. I'm
Good.
Joe Roman's wife.
Yes,
are
thank
not.
you for calling in.
Yes. I enjoy your Tampa Native song and your program very much.
Oh,
Thank you for
Thank
watching.
you, Matilda. Thank you so much for watching. Are you enjoying the show so far?
Yes, I am.
We've got a lot more pictures of that guy you know. That guy who's on these pictures. We got a lot more.
Good. I would love to see him.
Tell us one of your favorite Joe Roman stories. And I know you've got them all, but tell us one of your favorites.
I wish I could have thought of something at that time, but I guess one of them when he was always a prankster,
Yes.
Yes.
and he played one on Tom Spicola, and he always would order fried eggs sunny side up, and Joe went and brought him some eggs sunny side up, and the man tried to cut into him, and he wasn't able to because there was rubber eggs that he had.
Ah, that's wonderful. Matilda, tell me a story. This is your first time calling the show?
Yes, it is.
Well, that ring is for
Welcome.
you, darling, because you know,
There they
everybody
are.
who calls in the first time gets a ring. Now, look at this
What a
handsome couple.
Yeah.
This is a great photo.
Do you remember when this photograph was taken?
Yes, I was taken at the Cuban Club, and I believe it was 1953,
Oh, wow.
54, 53.
You
Wow.
look adorable.
You guys look handsome
Yeah.
and like you had the world by the tail right there.
I felt like that.
I
Yeah.
bet you did. I bet you
see
did.
it in your face.
Yep. Very happy. Very happy. Good times. Very good times.
Well, we were married 64 years.
Isn't
Wow.
that something?
Congratulations
Wow. And,
on
and
that.
was Joe at the time in 53, had he already started his association with the Columbia?
Yes, he started in August of 1953.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was there until 2012. And those are my sons, Joe Roman Jr. and my other son, John Andrew.
That's another
Very handsome family.
great photograph. That day
I
that
love
we
the hats.
That day that we went in there to have lunch, that you saw the picture just a little while ago with my daddy and Joe.
Yes, I did.
That was wonderful because
Your dad.
I saw Joe from around the corner. My father hadn't seen him yet, and I told him, I said, "Oye, viejo, I think that's Joe Roman over there." And sure enough, I went over and I spoke to him and I said, "Oye, come over and say hello." And he was gracious. He came over and spent time with us. It was a very nice. And then Richard came over. It was a really wonderful afternoon.
Well, I tell you, as far as the Gonsmart family, I don't think anyone has better employee than Richard.
Yeah.
Was extremely, but extremely to surpass how he treated Joe up to the moment that
Yeah.
he passed. He came to the house. He was with him. He offered to stay with him, to play games with him, anything to keep him happy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was as kind as to bring in food all that week, also to visit Joe, provided meals and paid his salary to the last, and even his funeral expenses.
Wow, that's
Wow.
wonderful.
How about
That's
That says
family.
a lot.
I got
Yeah.
goosebumps here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's family. That's family. And you know, we're very fortunate, Matilda, because that just doesn't happen all the
No.
time.
No.
You know, what you're telling us is something that is very, very unique and
Yeah.
very special, and maybe even unique and special to those of us that are Tampeños, those of us that grew up here. You know.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
I think so too. Well, thank you so much for calling the show tonight. We were hoping that you'd call, and we're so glad that you did. We've got more photographs.
Honoring Ybor City, thank you for honoring the Columbia, and thank you for Mike Baluja Jr., who is also my godchild.
Oh, we love Mike.
And Mike is out there now listening, and we hope
How
that he
sweet.
calls as well, because he's
Yeah.
got something to offer, a story or two as well. And of course, his daddy spent all those wonderful
Yeah.
years there right alongside Joe. So many great stories, wonderful times. So, Mike, if you're out there, give us a call
Please
as
do.
well. Matilda, you better give us your bolita number,
Yes,
because
please.
we give away things here for fun,
That's
and
right.
you might win something.
You never know.
Number 64.
64 is all yours.
All yours.
Say hello to Joe Jr. for us, if you will.
Okay, he's here. Would you like to say hi? Or you haven't got time for that?
No, we're
Yeah, it's
fine. If
fine.
Joe would like to say hello to us, we'd like
Absolutely.
to put Joe Jr. on the air.
Joe? Joey? I'll put you on the air.
Hi, Poppy.
There he
Hey,
is.
Joe, how are you?
Very good.
Thank you
Thank
so
for
much.
asking.
Thank you, Joe Jr. for accommodating us with the pictures and
Absolutely.
allowing us to honor your dad and of course all the waiters this evening, especially your pop, and we appreciate that.
When you say Columbia Restaurant, or you say Joe Roman, Mike Maha, Boo Boo Mahala, I gotta tell you, I'll drop everything I do and go forward. Those are the people that have made me what I am today, and with great, great, great pride, I associate with Mr. Joe Roman Sr.
Well,
Nice.
That's great.
we
Very
we
nice.
appreciate you as well, Papa. Your father was just he was a bigger than life figure. If you look at that picture there,
that's
you
a
can
great
see
picture.
that when he opened it up and he could fill up a room with his with his great voice. He was a bigger than life, a little guy, not a big guy, but certainly in spirit he could fill up a whole room.
You got it.
Did you see that picture just before? I just wanted you to get a
yeah,
quick
the
look at
pony
that.
picture.
this-
1933.
It's your pop on
How
top of
cute.
a version of Jimmy the Pony. That wasn't Jimmy the Pony
No.
there, but that was a version
That
of it.
was
Look at
Jimmy's
you, look at your
grandfather.
dad there, man.
I believe that was me.
Really?
That's you? No, that's not you. That can't be you. Look at that's 1933, Papa. You weren't born in 33.
Has to be my dad.
Of course,
Yeah,
it's
that's
your
your
daddy.
That's my dad.
It's
yeah.
Seguro, that's your pops.
What a
Well,
great
there's no
pony.
milkman in the family.
But the truth of the matter is, there is a tremendous family. If you
Yes.
look at that picture
Yeah,
there,
there is.
and then you look at the picture of the four of you together,
Yeah.
it looks like your brother. It looks like either one of you two.
Right.
Yeah.
Tremendo family resemblance. So undeniably, Joe, undeniably.
Well, I have to say it. I love my brother, but he's nothing. His name, should never have been Roman.
Uh-oh. Well, we'll get him on the phone so we can dispute that with him later. But in the meantime, thank you so much
Thank
for
you, Joe.
calling.
Thank
Listen, your mom gave us her lucky bolita number 64.
And I'm going to give you 17.
And that's my
Great
number, too. And that's for you, Papa, first-time caller Joe Roman Jr. Thanks again, Joe, and thank your mom for us. We really appreciate you guys calling tonight.
Thank you, good friend.
Thank
means,
you.
Means
Thank
a
you,
great
Joe.
deal to us. Thank you, Joe.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Oh,
Well, great call, huh?
Great,
Yes.
great call.
got a
I'm
couple
so
more
glad
bolitas.
Matilda put him on the phone with us
Yeah.
as well.
Mike Baluja, Bolita number.
Okay.
3, if
Okay.
it's available.
Okay.
3 is not available.
Okay, or
because-
3 or 13 or 33.
He just wants that 3 in there
just wants
somewhere.
13.
Okay. And then Cindy is either 18 or 40. Cindy
Okay.
Beluha.
All right.
I would say Cindy's 40, actually.
Okay.
Okay, no,
You mind
she
if I
can
take
have
this one?
18.
Let's go.
All right, here we go. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Miguel Baluja Jr.
Hey, Miguel.
Mike, there he is. Hey, Miguelito.
Calling from the baseball park at Wellswood. How you
Oh, that's
My
wonderful.
old place.
Well, thanks for calling
Great.
us. Now, we know you're hearing, well, you're only hearing us because you're talking to us because you can't be seeing us at the same time. Is that
Well,
correct?
actually, I'm struggling to watch. I have my laptop here open.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
And I've got it in front of everybody. You know, I'm just trying to watch, and then I'm getting through it, and on the internet, and it's so far so good. I just heard my
Your godmother just called?
my
Yes.
beautiful godmother just called, and I heard Joey call and
Yes.
talk a little bit, and it was great to hear them. And you know, we go back quite a ways.
I bet.
I just, one of my most precious memories with them, obviously, is when I was a children. They always treated me like a king as far as a godchild is concerned. Both Joe and Matt, very good to me, very loving, and they were the first family that we had a small family here in Tampa. My father, my uncle, and that was it. So we really didn't have big Christmas gatherings. The only time I learned about that was with the Romans. Their house in Ybor City was the place to get to on Christmas Eve, and that's where we would spend our family time with them. And I forgot the name of the plant that smell that is throughout Ybor City. That floral, I can't.
Is it gardenia? I'm just guessing.
Gardenias, brother. Oh my
I
God!
give
man,
myself a bell ring on that one.
That's
I read
a
your mind
beautiful
from here.
fragrance.
It's a wonderful fragrance,
Yeah, it is.
Night
One
blooming,
of my favorites.
night blooming jasmine and night blooming gardenia is another one too. Gardenia is just wonderful.
Yeah.
So I it was great to hear her on the air today and watching the show, and obviously watching all these pictures and seeing all these pictures bring back a lot of memories and a lot of good times, a lot of tradition, bro.
We've got
Good.
some great pictures of your pop coming up in just
That's right.
a few minutes. So hopefully your battery will hold up so you can watch them with us and you'll be able to see them. And if not, of course, we can get a copy of this to you anytime. And, and our IT department should have it up and ready for viewing by the weekend. So
I believe my brother is probably watching out there.
Good.
And also he knows about it, and so does my sister. She's watching it. As many of you know, they just came from Cuba after 50 years. They really, they didn't get to spend that much time in their lives with my father in the latter part of their lives, and so this is a great honor for them to be watching and to be seeing, him being honored on the
tribute,
show.
sure,
Absolutely,
absolutely.
yes.
And we're
How
privileged to be able to do it
wonderful.
for you guys. We love you guys, and it's just as much an honor for us. So, and here we are recording it for
posterity.
for posterity and into perpetuity. So, Julian can have this DVD, so when he's our age, he can look back and reflect. It's wonderful.
Right.
And that's what it's all about, brother.
I agree, Mike. I agree.
Preserving our history.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Let's get together real soon, and remember to hydrate while you're out there in the heat, okay?
We got it. I got it under control. I got it rigged up. I'm ready to watch the rest of the show.
Very
Good,
good, Mike.
good.
Thanks for calling us.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye, Mike.
Thank you,
Bye-bye
Mike.
now.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's
How
great.
wonderful.
That's
Boy, that's-
great. You see,
Look at the connections.
it's
Yeah.
family. It's family. And you can hear the richness and the emotion in his voice when he was talking about going to those Noche Buenas,
Yeah.
at the Roman household in Ybor City. And to this day, I just, I try to figure out why it is that even though my father work side by
that you
side,
didn't know
that
ran into each other?
And Mike's only a year older than I am, maybe even months older than I am. He's 15, he's 57, I'm 58. Born in those years.
Yeah.
We're not quite that old yet.
Right.
We're getting there rapidly, but how we never bumped into each other in
Yeah.
those early years
It is
of our
amazing.
lives.
Yeah.
I don't even know. We didn't live that far away from each other, West Tampa, but thank goodness.
You're friends now.
We're great friends now, and it has added so much richness to our life. Not to mention
And the show.
Not to mention
by
the
the way.
production, because he is our he's our go-to guy
our
when
guy,
it comes
yeah.
to
The music and
graphics.
there he
And
is.
we're very thankful for you, Mike.
There's Mike's dad, Miguel Baluja Sr. So, and dashing
Yeah,
dashing
he's a big guy.
figure. Okay, Caesar didn't have too much on him, I'll tell you. And Luis Diaz also was another. These guys were wobbles. You know what I mean? Wobbles in the true sense. And I got to be honest with you. The years that I worked in the airline business, albeit I wore a suit and a tie because that's what they had us in, but. You go to work in a tuxedo, man, and you just stand a little bit straighter, and you just carry yourself a little bit different because you're in a tuxedo.
Yeah.
You feel like a celebrity every day you go to work. Look at that picture.
You know
there.
what? It had to be one of those very few desired jobs out there, which was probably not that easy to get either because there was no turnover for one thing. Very little turnover.
Right.
Because you were there 25, 30 years.
Correct.
Kind of like the brewery careers. But
Correct.
So yeah, that must have been a very highly sought after career.
Yeah. I think Matilda said it best when she said that the Gunsmore family were one of the premier employers in Tampa, and they felt loyal to their employees, their wait staff, as the wait staff felt loyal to them as well.
She described.
Look at that picture there. Mike Baluha's dad is in the far left corner of that picture. I just imagine back in those days, these guys. Yes, they worked hard because I've heard stories of my pop when he would tell me that the kitchen was on 21st Street and you had a tray full of plates that you had to carry all the way from one room to C1A to patio and all the way through and you're carrying a tray literally a block long, a city block long because it goes from 21st to 22nd on 7th Avenue. So they worked hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I imagine they probably had a pretty good time.
Fun,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And they kept in shape for sure.
Joking around.
Well, yeah, and you had to be a young man to be able to do that because there was up and down steps too.
That too.
I don't know how they did it because if you've ever seen those guys carrying those trays,
I don't know.
They're huge trays.
Oh, yeah. They're loaded.
They're heavy too.
And they're heavy and they're loaded with paella and
Good stuff.
And drinks. And
I can't even carry
sangria.
it like that. Hey, caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
This is Jim Carney, and I'm calling from West Tampa.
Hey,
Hello,
Jim Carney. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing? I
Great.
just wanted to say, of all the shows, this one is bringing home to me the sense that Tampa is one big family.
There you go.
Bringing the whole family, and it's a whole different family. I grew up on the bay with a family of fishermen, and from different families, and we met up, but we talked from boat to boat. And here's a connection in the Columbia restaurant. And then I wanted to share my first memory of the Columbia restaurant. I was maybe 9 years old, all dressed up, special occasion, and the female dancers in the floor show, as a memory I will never forget.
Now is
Did you
that
get a little
because
excited
now
there?
is that because you had never seen legs like that, or you were just closer than you'd ever imagined to legs like that? I'm just trying to get a feel for this, Jim.
Listen, they were playing with their hands.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, yeah.
The castanets.
And the
Castanets.
castanets.
Castanets, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's cool.
Castanets, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to own up to the legs.
Well, you were 9 for crying out loud.
Not on air.
Oh.
That happened
on,
when you were
Jim.
15. I get it.
No, it was the music.
Sure.
I believe
We
that.
understand.
You're a music guy. I can believe
Absolutely.
that.
And those castanets were pretty cool
They
too.
were. I don't know how they did
My
that.
mom had a pair of those, and I can remember
I
trying.
was fascinated by.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. You're a little guy.
Yeah.
All that's fascinating at that time. And it was a big event. It was a floor show.
Floor show,
Where
yeah.
do you go these days?
They still have that.
To experience a floor show, except the Columbian. Is it on the weekends only? I think it's like
think
on
so.
Saturdays.
The Columbia is the only place I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Upholding the tradition. Absolutely.
And as Mario pointed out, or to Spain.
Oh, yeah. Or you got to go to the mother country
Yeah.
to see the real thing. You're right. But you know what? I will say this, again, because I only had the good fortune of traveling a little bit. In places like Argentina, Buenos Aires comes to mind, a lot of the restaurants there, not just one restaurant, but a lot of the restaurants, because it's very competitive, they do that. You may be in there in the early part of the evening from 9 to 10, say, and you have your dinner. But then after 10 o'clock, they have a floor show. So that still goes on in other parts of the world. And thank goodness that we still have it here that we can experience and have fun with it.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Did we get your Bolita number?
Oh, we did early on.
I need a number. I want to sign off with a question I just want to throw out. I don't know if it can be answered, but I'm reading a book right now set in 1930 on the border between Italy and Switzerland, and they're talking about a young man in training to be a head waiter at a restaurant not unlike the Columbia.
Okay.
I was wondering what's the process of training to be a head waiter?
Great question.
Great
That is a
question.
good question.
I'm going to defer to somebody out there who may have had that experience.
Yeah, hopefully a caller will call in and talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to go now and let the family of the Columbia restaurant proceed.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Jim.
Jim. And did you hear me earlier when I was mentioning how you can pick up your Caracolillo coffee winnings?
So I made notes on that, and I want to thank you and Steve and Sally for just making it another wonderful Thursday night.
Oh,
Jim.
thank you,
Thank
Jim.
you.
We appreciate you, buddy, more than you know. Thank
We
you so
do.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. If my pop's out there, maybe he can call in and tell us
Yes.
what's that apprenticeship for being from a busboy to a waiter to a head waiter and then to a maitre d', because I believe that was the progression back then.
There's a process.
And Luis Diaz, who recently departed, Luis Diaz, was a maitre d'. I believe Mike Baluja's father was a head waiter. And I think there was a modest distinction
ranks.
between the two. I believe there was a modest distinction between the two. And then there were the waiters, and then there were the busboys. So let's talk about that. And if somebody out there knows, maybe they can call in. All right, let's go to caller on line 5. Darling, do this one.
Hello, caller. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Kiki. I'm calling from West Tampa.
Hi, Kiki from West Tampa.
Good, how you doing?
Good,
Great.
thank you.
Hey, you know, we're looking at those waiters there, man. Me and Ron used to work with some of that Spanish Pike restaurant when we were 3 years old. I mean,
Really?
13, 14 years old.
I was going to say, if you were working at 3 years old, there were probably some laws that were being broken at the time.
Child labor laws.
But let me share
been
with
at
you
it for a while.
that these guys worked at the Columbia, but a lot of them also, like you said, they may have had, you know, sometime they pick up a shift at the Valencia Gardens, or they'll pick up a shift at Spanish Park, the Madrid, you know, Café Pepe.
Yeah, only one of them I saw that worked at Spanish Park. I'm not sure how long he worked for, but
Sure.
I don't remember him from there. But
Now, what were you doing there? Were you busing, or what were you doing?
I was a busboy.
Okay, sure. That's where you start, man. Everybody gets, you know.
We were just young men at that time.
Sure.
I call you that for that, and also the thank you guys for your great, you know, sponsorship of the thing for April Lufrio for
our
Cure for
pleasure.
Insight.
Yeah.
You're welcome,
Our
Kate.
pleasure.
It was a tremendous success, and
Good.
a good part of it comes to you guys. So
Nice.
I appreciate that.
And
Good.
we appreciate you and of course the support that Castillo's Cafe and Catering
Yes.
provides us here on the show. So thank you, Kiki.
Okay.
Thank
You have
you.
a great day and a great show.
Did we
Thank
get your
Thank
Bolita
you.
number?
No. What's your Bolita number?
Today's gonna be 17.
Oh, you know, I think it was
17, it's taken.
Joe Roman Jr.
That's
just
right.
took that a minute
That's right.
ago. Try
How
again.
about this? 27 then.
27 it is.
That's free.
Is
Available?
free.
Very good. Thank
Sure.
you, Kiki.
Okay, man.
Thanks,
You have a
Kiki.
good one.
Thanks for your call.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I think we're dangerously close to the 15-minute mark.
I think we're
gentlemen.
dangerously over.
I think we passed it.
I think we
13-minute mark.
dangerously
Okay, so
slid
we're
right
over
past.
the 15-minute
But that's
mark.
okay. That's all right. The 15-minute girl got us again. So that means we got to wrap this thing up. If you want to get in on the Bolita drawing, quick like a
Yeah.
bunny, send us
We've got
an
a few
email
tonight.
or quick like a bunny,
Got a
give us
bunch.
a
Yeah, we
call.
do.
We'll take
We
a
do.
couple more calls before we get to our drawing. So let's
Quite
do
a few.
line 4. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Glenn from Lutz.
Hey,
Hey,
Glenn.
This is Glenn Santos.
That's right.
How do I remember?
Been a little
his voice.
while,
Hi, Glenn.
Hey, how you doing?
Thanks for
Hello,
Great.
thank you.
Well, I just have a quick first memory is what I wanted to give you. When I think growing up, my family, we hardly ever ate out. So if we went to like McDonald's, it was a big deal, and if we like got a Domino's pizza, that was like amazing. But I remember in junior high school at Wilson Junior High, the principal for some award of some kind, he took about a half a dozen of us to the Columbia restaurant for a special award at the end of our 9th grade year at Wilson. And, you know, it's the first time I've ever been in a nice restaurant like that and so on. And it just was a really, really nice memory here, being with the principal and some of the other students and you know, or that major big floor area that they had in there. So
Sure.
that is a big deal.
It was a
cool.
huge deal.
Yeah.
I mean, we did something like that too. I talked about it earlier on the show.
Yeah.
We had a 6th grade field trip there for the student class representatives.
Very
And
nice.
it was it was great to get out of school for sure, for one thing. But the neat part about it was we were there in the middle of the afternoon, and on that particular day, my pop was actually working one of the mid shifts.
Oh.
So he waited on us, and you know, it's kind of special when you go
Yeah.
to the Columbia restaurant
And your dad's
dad's
there.
one of the waiters,
Yeah.
and the other gentleman, his uncle, was also, they worked it out so that they could be there to serve us. It was really, really special for us.
Oh, that is really cool. And then when I got married, we had a rehearsal dinner over there up in the upstairs in the King's room.
Nice.
That's a good memory.
So
Yeah, it's
nice.
pretty up there.
Wonderful. And you know what? Between you, Glenn, and the rest of us here, we're going to probably have an event. Maybe,
We should.
Maybe either in the fall sometime or
Yeah.
just after the new year at the Columbia, because we're due. We've got
We
a picture
are,
we
yeah.
want
Yeah,
to show
show
you
that.
guys again real quick in just a second.
Yeah.
But we typically get together there in what they call the Andalusia room, and it's a wonderful
room.
I love that room.
facility.
Yeah.
50, 60 of us get together. We share stories. We have a glass of sangria together, and you be certain to be there with us.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Did you give us your
What's
bolita
your
number?
number?
Is 44 available?
44, darling?
44 is available.
44 is all yours, Glenn
Put you down.
Santos. Thank you so much for your call.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. Okay, line 5. We're getting close to the short strokes, as they say.
Yes.
Don't let us run over. Eric Cups, please don't let us run over. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from South Tampa.
And your name, sir?
Name is Andrew Peralta.
Andrew
Well,
Peralta.
welcome in, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew. Are you a first-time caller to the show?
I am. I'm a first-time caller.
That's just for you, Andrew Peralta. Now, I always ask our first-time callers, how did you learn about our show?
Matt Roman told me about it because we were very close friends.
Very good. Very well.
Nice.
Thank you, Matt, for sharing that information. Thank you, Matt. Matilda, right?
Matilda,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's Joe. That's Joe singing outside in the little vestibule there.
What a
so,
great picture.
Andrew, tell us your favorite Columbia restaurant story, or even your favorite Joe Roman story.
We've known each other since we were 7 years old.
Wow.
Wow.
7 years old.
Wow. So,
Y'all know him by Joe Roman.
sure.
We knew him by Don Pepe.
Don
Oh.
Pepe. Well,
Oh, a
A
nickname.
nickname.
I'll tell you, like I told Matilda earlier, and the family, so sorry for your loss. You know,
Yes.
it's a loss felt by an entire community, really and truthfully, Andrew, because he, you know, even though he was Matilda's husband and Joe Jr.'s father, certainly, he belonged to all of us in a way, because he
Right.
was there so long at the Columbia, and we all knew him.
Of a kind,
Yep, I
He
agree.
was part of us, really.
really.
Well, thank you. Listen, we appreciate you calling. Give us your lucky bolita number between 1 and 75.
Well, let me put it to you. I love him like a brother.
Oh, well, thank you for
I make
telling.
him a lot. My number will be 7.
Number
7.
You know what? I think that's
Seven is
taken. Try
taken.
again.
All right. Let's make it then 62.
62, I think is
62
good.
is open,
I haven't heard
yes.
that one
No,
yet.
not
Yeah.
yet.
Andrew,
It's
thank you
yours.
for looking in on us tonight, and be sure that you watch us each week. We're here Thursdays at 7. I think you'll enjoy the show.
Okay, sir.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you
you.
for sharing your story,
Bye,
Andrew.
Andrew.
Thank you so much.
You know, he'll probably win because the first-time callers win.
They
a lot.
always
how it
do. We
works,
have a
yes.
wonderful way of doing
Strange.
that. Caller on line 4. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Philip Nunez from Tampa.
There he is.
There
What
he
took you
is.
so long,
That
big
voice.
guy? You know, you almost waited too long.
I tried to get in now, but the lines were busy.
Lines
you're
are
here
busy
now.
because you know what? This is the Tampa Native Show. We
That's
don't mess
right.
around.
That's right.
Now listen, a caller had a question about becoming a head waiter and
Yes.
That was Jim Carney. That wasn't just any caller. That was Jim Carney. Let's get that
stuff.
straight.
Yeah. The thing about it is, most of the time you became a busboy. And when a busboy, after a few years' experience, then they give you a little station with 2 or 3 tables, until you get the knack of it,
Right?
And then the promoter will give you, Caesar will promote the head waiter. He says, I want Mike Maluja to be my head waiter.
Okay.
Oh,
Mike was a head waiter.
Okay.
Yeah.
No? And there were times when I came from New York, I didn't know the Spanish kitchen at all. I knew the French and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what a papa no papillo, a paella
Yes.
was.
Yeah.
So I had to get like a little, 2 tables in the corner there, until I got to know the dishes and what it's made of, and it took a little bit of time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, listen, I just want to share with you, Pop. I wish you had called a little bit earlier, only because we're up against the clock.
I know it.
And I love to hear your stories. So maybe we'll bring you in one day, and we'll do a show with you if you can stand the hot lights here in the studio.
Okay.
And we'll just talk about your experience at the Columbia,
Part
maybe working with the county, and just your whole experience here of Tampa and what you
Yeah.
remember.
Joe Correa told me you were short on time.
Yeah, don't be nervous. You can do this, Pop. I know you can.
He's not going to
Give
be
us your
nervous.
lucky Bolita number.
29.
29.
29,
Of
let's
course it
see.
is. Thank you, Dad,
Yes,
for
it's
calling.
open.
Felipe
Felipe.
Nunez, thank you. Look
Thank
at
you,
that,
Gramps. Love you.
that picture right there. We're going to end it with this. Thank you, Mr. Nunez. Look at that picture right there with those wonderful names. Steve, if you'll grab the Bolita balls, we got to
got a
get
couple.
busy.
Yeah, a couple more Bolita numbers here too. We
Quickly.
have
Oh, my
Ricky
goodness.
and AJ. Bolita number 11, is that available?
11 is available.
Okay.
Ricky
Okay,
and
we have
AJ.
Alan Roman. He writes, thanks for speaking so kindly about my grandfather at the Columbia. You have a great show. His number is 72.
Thank you so much. That's
72.
Alan Roman,
Alan
72.
Roman. And Angelo Ramori, I have your Bolita number already.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
All right, Stevie, grab the balls real quick.
There we go.
And here we go. Let's,
it Alan Roman?
Yep. Let's shake
There
them
you
up real good. Shake them up
Wow,
real
we
good.
got a
about
bunch.
2 minutes
How
to
much
go.
time we have? 2?
About
Wow,
2
what
minutes to
happened?
go. So the first drawing I think tonight will be for, and I don't have the bottle here, forgive me, but working in front of the green screen, it typically keys out. This is for
Yes.
Joe and Sons olive oil.
Okay.
200 milliliters of infused balsamic vinegar or cold pressed
there
olive
last
oil.
week.
Go ahead and get some of that.
I got some.
And closest to, without going over, Steve, help Sal with the
Uh-oh,
number.
61.
I think
61
didn't we have a
is-
62?
First time caller?
Yeah, that's over.
62 is
No.
over, forgive me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's
It's
right.
Dale Kimball with 56.
56, Dale
Closest to,
Kimball.
without going over.
There
that's
you
right.
go.
Just,
my
just
goodness.
missed it.
So that's for 200 milliliters of Joe and Sons olive oil. Now this
Grab
is
one more.
for Caracolillo coffee.
Here we go.
Caracolillo coffee.
Low, 15.
15. Let's talk about 14 and 13 and 12.
Mike Baluha.
Mike Baluha, get over there to Caracolillo Coffee Mills and see Michael and Julian Faedo and get you a get you some pound of coffee. this here drawing, this one is going to be for 4 tickets to the upcoming Tampa Yankees game.
19.
19.
would
Wonderful,
be
wonderful.
Cindy Baluha with number 18.
Wow.
They both won. How about that?
How about
Sometimes
that?
it just happens
Magic.
that way. There goes for Cindy.
They planned that.
Yeah, I think they did.
And once again, this is our grand prize for the
Yes.
evening. This is the history, this wonderful book co-written by Andy Hughes on the history of the Columbia restaurant.
Great photos.
And we hope this goes to somebody tonight who really, 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 really wants it.
Really,
so,
really.
Get in there, Stevie.
one
Get in
more.
there low. Get in
a high number.
Quickly,
Yeah,
because
come on.
we're running out
Got
of
about a
moments.
minute to go. Less than that, actually.
Okay, 23.
23.
So 22,
23.
21.
23.
22, 21,
Huh.
30 seconds.
Joe Roman Jr., I guess it would be with 17.
There it is, Joe
Cindy's
Roman
already-
Jr.,
Congrats.
first time
Yeah.
caller.
There we go.
Well, let me just say a quick shout of the booth because I want to say thank you again to Eric Cups and thank you again, there you go, to Hello Dory for answering our phones for us tonight. We really do appreciate you guys. And thank you, Tampa Native Show fans, for being there with us. Next
Yes.
week, we're going to have City Councilman Harry Cohen. On behalf of
Great
Tampa
show.
Steve and the 15-Minute Girl, I'm Mario Nunez. Salud and happy,
Happy
days.
days.
We love you, Tampa.
Yes,
See
we
you next
do.
week.
Back when we were younger and everything seemed new. We used to have a lot of fun, yes we did, no matter what we do. Sleepy days, long summer nights, going anywhere we please, with love that I could call my own, love that I've always known, the city that I call my home, a home from which I never roam. This love affair was meant to be. I love her and she loves me. I remember Tampa, oh, she remembers me. She remembers me. I remember, yeah, yes I do. Oh, I remember, yeah, me and you. I'm a Tampa native, Tampa native, can't you see? I will share my story with you to preserve its history.
All right now, don't forget, Thursdays, 7 p.m. on TBCN, home of the Tampa Native Show.